Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So what I want to discuss with you today is kind of give you a little bit of story here. I'm going to talk to you about my experience with Superdrol, and I say experience instead of experiences because it was a one-time thing. So I want to explain to you why it was only a one-time thing, because most of you guys know with me, I'm a guy that when I find something, I kind of stick with it, kind of like Primable and, for example, in Windstar. You hear me talk about these things over and over and how many times I've used them. Well, when I've only used something once, more than not, it's because I had a horrible experience. Not always. You know, Anadrol is something that I use that I absolutely love, but I'm not constantly bulking at all, or I would continue to use it every cycle. But with Superdrol, no. Worst experience, me personally. Some people are going to come on here and leave their comments about, well, I love Superdrol. I'm telling you my personal experience with it. That's it. I'm not saying that every single person's going to have this experience, but I am going to tell you what I went through so you can kind of understand. If many of you think back, there was a product called Ultradrol. This is way back in 2012 when I ran it. And I ran it with Trenazone. And these were made by Anateus Labs. Very, very popular products. But Ultradrol is Superdrol, okay? Just another name for it. So what I did was completely stupid and idiotic, by the way, which completely goes against everything that I teach everybody. But I wanted to go against the grain and go against my rules and try to run it on its own without test. First of all, completely idiotic. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. So I went ahead and did that, which was bad enough, okay? And Trenazone was something that you applied topically. You know, you generally rub it on the tops of your feet and it absorbs. And it was like a trend type of product. And so these two together were supposed to be an ultimate combination, right? Not so ultimate. Trenazone on its own would have been great, but not with Ultradrol. What did I experience? The good. Okay, I became stronger than I believe I've ever been, even on Anadrol, even on D-Ball. The strength on this was off the chart. Absolutely off the chart. Okay, weight gain, if you know, people that are looking for rapid size gain, it was like uncontrollable for me. And I wasn't even eating crazy amounts. I was eating maybe a 200 calorie surplus because I was going for some more size. When I started the cycle, I was about 184, 185, and by the time I was done, I was roughly 212. Okay, and mind you, I was running 5-6 miles a day. Okay, and I was also doing like intense, high intensity interval training. I was doing about 150 to 200 burpees a day, a lot of, sprint style activities, things like that. 5 days a week on all this cardio, and I still gained that amount of size. Still. Now, I respond to things a little differently than some people do, but it was crazy intensity. I started the dosing, basically at the recommended level, but I did end up increasing it over time, which would be the equivalent of about 30 to 40 milligrams of Superdrol. The negatives, I told you about the strength and that was pretty much in the size, but the negatives far outweigh. Okay, it got to the point where I didn't even want to get out of bed. I didn't. I was so lethargic and so drained and just horrific. I had headaches nearly daily. Now, I probably wasn't taking in enough carbs and enough potassium and water at the time, but this was uncontrollable. It was. I was angry at the world. I mean, I swear to you, you could have said hello to me, and I could have taken it the wrong way. I mean, literally, it affected me that bad. I really had no motivation. It was hard for me to even go to the gym after a while. I literally did not want to get out of bed. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to do anything. I was living in Hawaii at the time, mind you, and usually I was at the beach after work. I used to do the same schedule when I lived in Maui, and I was only there about a year and a half, but I worked a lot back then. And I would work, I would get up very early, maybe 5-6 o'clock, go to the gym, go to work, and on my days off, I was at the beach constantly, and sometimes early morning at the beach. I wanted to take advantage of it because I didn't know how long I was going to stay there. My parents had moved there, and I didn't even want to do that. I didn't want to do anything. I had no interest in anything whatsoever but sleeping and being angry. And I mean, the weight gain got to be too much for what I wanted, I could feel my blood pressure rising even without blood work. I could feel it even with protection. I very, very suppressed, just a feeling of, I don't know, just a feeling of blah. And I hate to use such a stupid ass term, but I just felt like, I don't want to do anything. I have no interest in anything. I don't ever want to feel like that again. That is my personal experience with it. Not saying everybody's going to have it with it. I should have ran it with test. I should have been eating more carbs, drinking more water, but I will never run it again. There's no reason or point for me to ever run it again. It just wasn't for me. Everybody's got their thing that's not for them. I'm not going to sit here and badmouth it and say no one should ever run it, but I'm going to give you my personal experience with it, because a lot of people like to hear personal experiences and know how somebody reacted. So that's my experience with Superdrol. I hope that gives you some sort of help, and I was fair in my analysis, telling you where I went wrong and the things I did wrong, but also the experiences that I had. So that being said, Dylan Gemelli signing off.